Why'd I do it? So I got in this bar fight on floor 44, funny thing too, because I was only 18, you dig? Glasses flying, beer being spat in chemical composition with herpes, and I'm dodging steel-toed boots and shivs, trying to let fly a few haymakers before I head for the... Fuck, what the fuck am I talking about?
You heard of the plane?
Yes. The little guy who don't take no shit when, as if chapter by Vonnegut, Van Gogh's ear streams across my retina, and I'm sure I see Timothy Leary standing next to one of those biker guys with the braided beard, drinking little duels and smiling at me, with his two front teeth opening and closing like garage doors, and the room suddenly blue, yellow, red, and this is just the primary story, right into the bones. And I look up, and Esteban's sitting in the rafters, picking his guitar with Nicholas J. wearing his Zorro hat, and they're singing John Mayer songs and eating Jose Ole burritos, and I stop literally on a dime. And this time begins talking to me, saying the most vile shit my elegant head has ever laid ear on, but I can barely hear because Van Gogh's screaming in my other ear, and I'm like, take it easy. I ain't doing it, you stupid bitch. And John Wayne Bobbitt pulls the wax in his pubis and says, yeah, you sick fuck, you did it to yourself. Then he gets hammered by Ken Kesey, who, by the way, is a scrappy little cycle drunk on electric Kool-Aid. Ah, those merry pranksters. And I'm thinking to myself, you're losing it. But Hemingway yells from a basket carrying bits of brain, and I turn to see the bitch that started it all. Marla's singer, and she's asking me, why don't you love me, Tyler? So I look in the mirror and see Dick Tracy. Says, you're beautiful just the way you are. So I turn to Marla and punch her right in the collarbone, thinking, flower power, you violent talk. Don't fuck with me during sweeps. But Rick Solomon's riddling one night in Paris, so I grab the machete from the disembodied hand and slice the salami. They call this killing two birds with one stone. And I begin writing feverishly. They call this no intellectual shock therapy with advanced delusional schizophrenia, a couple of minimal sleep and depression due to lack of sexual activity, garnished with a potent psychoactive substance. And the Spurs, they're not going to win the championship. But I grab my glass anyway and raise it to the heavens. To the neon open sign that now reads simply O, like I'm the president, or the second and fourth letter in sodomy, and I'm like, oh my, you're losing it. Then somebody yells 5-0 and the anthill drifts further toward entropy. Everyone wanting that one last sucker punch before heading for their hogs, mopeds, lawnmowers, scooters, and starships. And I'm like, what are you doing here, Condoleezza? And she says, I'm with him. And I look over and Colin Powell's giving me the bat wing. Count it. They call this social progress, but the gay guy in the corner is dressed in drag with breast implants just so he can play the skin flute ridicule-free. I call this a tabloid review of a societal confrontation on drugs. And the moral is obviously that bars are hookup zones for the horny. Stay arrayed. Read Les Vonnegut. Exchange Van Gogh for Pollock. Don't beat your wife and meet Kiki in an alley. Remember that while Tyler Durden is both Edward Norton and Brad Pitt, he is not you, so punching Milo was okay, but listening to Dick Tracy was not, because the guy don't like walnuts. Flower power's cliche, and Rick Solomon ain't with your time. Let him die of gonorrhea with Dan Marino and rotten Paris. But remember the fire and embers. The civil rights movement's not gone, E. Lay off the drugs and the gay friends give hugs, and when Condoleezza's limping, sweep the leg, Johnny. Why? Because someone took a sip of my beer. Why? Because that fuck had a cold sore on his lip that looked like the midget's asshole I have never seen. Why? Because when I'm on acid I pretend I'm fucking Patrick Swayze. Why? Because nobody puts baby in the corner.